the window had been busted out and part of our gear had been stolen.
There's nowhere to play up here at all.
I'm sitting there kind of by myself, like waiting for my manners, and the mirrors, like the mirrors kind of like spin open like 90 degrees, like they kind of rotate open, and all these women in sexy lingerie can come walking out from behind the mirrors.
I'm just gonna throw this out there that it almost sounded like you were kind of the dark side sometimes of the scene.
Just when I'd parted ways with Monuments, and so it was really, really desperate time of my life.
At the end of it, our bass player told us, like, he just looked at us like, yeah, this is my last show.
So, like, basically back to the Beast era.
Dealing with this alcohol intake, and we're at a Christian festival, and we're supposed to be a Christian band. I was kind of like, man, this sucks. This is not a good look.
Welcome back to Dark Side of the Scene. I'm your host, Brandon Wright, alongside Ed Corella.
Yo.
What's going on?
I was playing video games before I came on here. Sometimes I lose track of what I'm doing. Anyway.
What were you playing?
Dying Light 2.
I haven't played that one.
At first I thought it sucked, but then the more you get into it, the more sucks you in.
I played the first one quite a bit, and then
dude, that was if I was like single, I would never got laid because I would have stayed in my house. That's how much I played that game.
I didn't end up ever finish. I played it a lot. I really liked Dead Island. Played the shit out of it. I always felt like Dying Light was almost like a successor to.
No, it was basically just they improved on everything, and then the second one, you don't really have guns in it, so you basically got to beat the shit out of people, which is fine with me because it's good stress relief. But I want to talk about things that might stress people out or not. Basically, yeah, it's basically a rant about bands. Like, what is it about a band, like, or maybe members? They get mad when, like, maybe they find a replacement for a show. And, like, I don't know, I feel like some story you told me about, like, they got mad because they replaced somebody because they were busy, and, like, that dude wasn't even around, and he had basically a replacement for him when he was not there, but that's cool. Like, if you're that kind of network and you can have somebody jump in, there's nothing wrong with that. I don't know why, unless it's like contractual. I don't see why, like, oh, this person could fill in and for this show, and then I could see like another band member getting mad, or that band member's getting replaced, gonna get mad about that just for a show. Like, is that a thing? Because I think it's pretty shitty.
I think it is, because there's been times where we didn't have a bass player and we didn't play shows, and we ended up playing shows without a bass player. And there's been several times where we didn't have a drummer and we used a computer to play the drums, because everything's to a click anyway. So playing to a program drums is still the same concept in a way. Everything's still the same tempo. But we actually played up in South Bend without a drummer because our drummer, for whatever reason, couldn't make it. He was up that way, but he said he wasn't going to be there in time. So we ended up just playing through this computer. And I think that rubbed him the wrong way too, that we still went ahead with the show. It's like, well, we're already fucking here. What are we supposed to do?
Like, I would say, like, that kind of happened in a band that I was in. Like, we ended up finding a replacement, and the other member got mad about the whole situation.
Yeah.
It's like, so I don't know. You're only holding your band back if you're not being open to those kind of things. Like, that's dumb. Like, quit being like, oh, I'm the bass player. You know what? If I couldn't do a show and somebody wanted to replace me for that show, I'd be all for it. I don't care, dude. It's like, it's the namesake, the band is still playing.
When we played that show with you guys that I booked you on down here in Peru, when I had that broke fucking beast, whatever, going on, I was asking people to come do vocals for me because I couldn't fucking do them really, and no one really stepped up. I was like, I don't give a shit, just fucking do it. So
maybe they didn't know the words. Yeah, so that's okay. I've seen bigger bands actually perform without a singer, and
yeah,
it was almost like karaoke. And did it break the band? Hell no.
yeah. I think
Different.
anyone that really gets upset about it are already insecure and they're questioning their spot. They're afraid someone's going to take it. Well, if you're in a band and you're in a position that where you're questioning your security of being in that band, then maybe you're not stepping up to the performance of expectations to be in that spot in the first place.
Right.
So that's how I see it.
Right.
So
You
anyone
know.
out there listening, if you get nervous that someone may have to fill in your spot for like one show and you get all mad about it, is it because you feel like you're kind of a shitty bandmate? Things to ponder.
Yeah. No,
Eh,
we can't play that show because I'm not there. I don't know. I could see people getting that way too.
Yeah. That is the nature of the beast. Anyways, if you would like to be on an episode of Dark Side of the Scene, you've got a story you'd like to tell us, share your experiences with us, send an email to brandon@darksideofthescene.com and we will get you scheduled on a future episode. We have a lot of good shows coming out soon, one every Monday. So if this is the first one you're checking out, go ahead and subscribe. You don't want to miss them. A lot of interesting guests and a lot of interesting topics. And I think you guys would enjoy it.
Yeah.
Tonight, we're joined by a guest that is in waiting, and we're running a little bit behind. So I will probably just go ahead and say we'll bring him on in. So hang tight. I'd like to welcome our guest tonight, Michael. Michael, thanks for coming out and talking to Ed and I.
Oh, thank you guys for having me.
Nice to meet you.
It's nice to meet you guys too.
Yes.
And where are you from?
I am from a town called Maryville. It's in East Tennessee.
Nice. Down
I-
towards the south.
Yeah, just a little bit.
No, you could be.
Um,
You could still have a southern accent, be the Indiana Maryville.
Yeah.
well, yeah, well, Indiana's like the north of the South, where like Florida is like the south of the North.
Right.
Florida should really be in the North, honestly.
It's so
Oh.
far south, but it's full of all the northerners.
It's like it's like going beyond zero, like backwards, like like with temperatures or something like that. Like it just there's like some kind of weird paradox there. Like the numbers, like the statistics and stuff just don't really match up. It's just something that bends reality.
My dad's originally from there. That's where all his family lives in southern Florida. So
Hmm.
I've been down there a few times, and it's always been usually that I can remember. It's been somewhat chillier. We went there 5 years ago during the summer. We just went to Pensacola, and it was hotter than balls. But
Oh yeah.
it wasn't too bad being on the beach and everything. But it was still hot and sticky.
That's that's Florida. No matter just about what time of the year you go. I actually just recently came back there. Like about well, I say recently. It's been about 6 months. Went to Tampa just to have a little vacation and whatnot. And good music scene there, good food, and it was absolutely sweltering.
Mhm.
It was so bad. We happened to go during the hottest week of the year.
Oh
That was not fun, especially for someone as white as I am.
gosh. I went to Jacksonville in like July for a wedding, and it's like I'm surprised I didn't die of heat exhaustion and like how sticky it was, but I survived.
Mhm.
We went out to Vegas. It'll be 3 years this summer, but we went out in August, and the heat index was like 117.
But
Mhm.
They're like, "Oh, it's not a bad heat though. Like it's not hot. It's just a dry heat." I was like, "It's still fucking hot."
Yeah, I'll take that. I'll take that dry heat though over the humid heat here in the South.
yeah.
Yeah.
It's just it's awful. Like you don't like something about you like you get too much of it in you and like you just can't breathe because of the water content in your lungs. It's awful. I'll take the dry heat anytime. I used to live in Oregon for a little while, and I absolutely loved breathing. It made me appreciate it a whole lot.
I actually said that on another episode. When I went to Oregon, it's like it was weird. I could breathe differently. I don't
Hmm.
know. It was just like everything was like crisp and clear feeling. It was strange.
Yeah, I remember the first time I went to Oregon. I was actually on a flight to Japan, but I we had engine problems in the air, so we had to actually just stop. And I remember jumping out of the plane and just being, "What is this? What is going on here?"
Hmm.
I'm not struggling to exist. It was just the weirdest thing. I absolutely loved it.
Hmm.
Yeah, so that
Uh,
went out, I think, in like the middle of September. So it was towards the beginning of fall, but everything was just, I don't know how to describe it. Like just being out there, I just felt differently. It was just, I don't know.
Hmm.
We're up in the mountain area or up towards Washington state line or whatever. And just like the river, the Columbia River, I think is what it was running through there. And I don't know. It was different vibes.
hmm.
It's definitely different. It's not what like a lot of people. I don't want to say like a certain group of people, but a certain group of people have a negative view on like the types of people that live in Oregon, and it's not really like what they think it is. It's actually there's actually like a large culmination of different types of people and cultures and walks of life there. It's very normal and not unless like you're in Portland or like in Eugene, it's not like super hipstery or anything like that. Like a
Hmm.
lot of people think it is.
So yeah, we flew into Portland and I did notice more of an uptick of people that seemed to be I guess the term would be hipster. I'm not sure if that's the correct terminology anymore.
I I,
But
I don't really know either.
yeah, it was I enjoyed my time when I was out there. I was only out there for like 3 days, but it was like the 3 days of the
Mm,
cleanest air I've ever breathed.
yeah, that's kind of how I felt. And that's what made me end up moving out there for a little while.
Hmm. Why'd you move out there?
Um, I just loved it. Like it was
Oh,
just
okay.
I just wanted to change a pace in my life.
Hmm.
I was doing a lot of the stuff I was doing with involving music. Um, switched to doing a lot of stuff like over the net, as it were.
Hmm.
Um, and I had just came back from living temporarily in Japan also. Um, so I was like, man, like I really, really liked it out there. I'm already like doing this stuff, not really doing a lot of physical stuff anymore. So like I can just uproot my life and like try something, a little different, try the whole West Coast thing, see how I like it and whatnot.
Hmm.
Um, it was just to do something different. I absolutely loved it though.
Nice.
How was Japan?
Um, that was a very interesting experience.
Hmm.
Um, I'm a, I guess like nowadays, like it's not uncommon to know at least one person who's into some form of Japanese something. Um, but like, I'm a little bit on the older side. When I say older, but I'm just 38 or almost 38. Um, and back then, growing up, like you didn't have ease of access to stuff like that, especially from like a foreign country, especially like here, where like my town now, it's like several 100,000 people that live, or a couple 100,000 people. Like, and then back whenever I was a kid, it was like 10,000 people. Um, so like there wasn't a lot of cultural exchange going on.
Hmm.
So like um, it was just one of those things that just really fascinated me as a kid with like just like the little bits and pieces of things that I was exposed to. My grandfather was in World War II, and like he was a part of the siege of Iwo Jima and was captured by the Japanese. Um, and there's like a whole story about that.
Hmm.
But then like I was like, oh, well, what kind of places Japan? It got me my brain going as, and then like my parents would bring me stuff home not knowing what it was, and me being a little kid not knowing what it was just ended up getting me sucked into being interested in that culture as a whole. Um, so I just I wanted to go over there, and it just so happened that there was a couple of bands that wanted me to work with them while I was over there.
Hmm.
So I was like, well, Tom, this is the time. Let's do the thing.
Nice. What? So basically, as you're a, what does your music career start? Like, are you currently in a band, or what is the thing you do as far as like musically?
Right now, I'm not in a band. I've not been in a band in a few years now.
Okay.
I have mostly been focused on production stuff
Mm,
since 2010.
mm.
I've done a couple little spots where I've played with people or something like that, and I had like a short stint with. No, let me backtrack on what I was about to say.
Hmm.
Um, I did spend some time between 2013 and 20 uh, 2018-ish being in a hip hop group out of Memphis called Wire Generation.
Mm.
Um, and we did that for a little while. And, I was in a small folk two man thing called Brother Orchid.
Mm.
But after that, I just kind of between all that stuff, I was more focusing on production than performance. I'm working on releasing an EP right now by the name Soulforge, which I would call if uh, Ghost and Killswitch Engage like had a baby.
Nice.
Um,
Huh.
it was just if Ghost was like heavier, you know.
Oh, like somewhat like kind of that. Oh, what do you call it? What are they? I mean, I'm trying to describe them because
They're like a modernized Blue Oyster Cult.
yeah, like a. But I was trying, yeah, like I was just wondering how that would mix with Kill Switch. So like they would have like the Blue Oyster Cult with breakdowns, or I'm trying to just trying to picture in my head how this would sound. Yeah.
Just like think of like maybe like just Ghost with like just maybe like just like some chunkier riffs.
Okay. A little more distortion in their ratty orange tones. Yeah, I get
Yeah,
it.
a little
Yeah.
bit more of that, you know,
Yeah.
nothing like super crazy, but just trying
Mm.
to like nothing like too metal, but I don't want to go
Right.
too soft. So like just trying to find that nice tasty, you know, balance between all of those different things.
Nice.
Um, but yeah, nowadays, for the most part, I've just been doing mixing, mastering, editing, production,
Mm.
stuff like that.
It's kind of where the money is. Once you know that kind of stuff and you're good at it, then like you almost don't have to have a band in a way because then you got recording studio gigs, you know. Huh.
Oh yeah,
Yeah.
I generally haven't really stepped too much of a foot in too many of other people's studios to do work. I've mostly just done it from my own little small, uh, humble little setup that I have.
Hmm.
But I have helped with some notable engineers in the past, not necessarily on the engineering side, but like helping with their business aspects
Hmm.
of the business.
Mm-hmm. Nice. So I guess the topic of the show is so like so what are the bad experiences you've had like as far as like, you know, from maybe your first band and then to now, like any kind of strange thing? I don't I guess that's how you describe it.
Strange.
It was not strange, but
Um,
like like kind of negative where you're like, man, this is not what I was asking for. You know
Something
what I
that
mean?
left a bad taste in your mouth, I guess.
Yeah.
something that I'll tell you something that still leaves a bad taste in my mouth.
Mm.
So the group Wire Generation that I was talking about, we'd actually gotten signed through a pretty prestigious label through a smaller subsidiary, and you know we went over the contracts with a fine tooth comb, and everything seemed like all the I's were dotted, all the T's were crossed. So we're like, okay, well, like this is, you know, we, you know, discussed it amongst ourselves for a week, and we're like, okay, let's do the thing because this is what we've been hoping for. Because like this is just what we needed, you know.
Mm.
Um, and so we signed. Everything was good. And very quickly things went really out of control because like we had put together an EP to release with them, and it they were starting to be very suspicious about, or we were getting very suspicious of them because they were like sending us small little snippets of pieces of information. Like you couldn't even really call them things that you could really like leech off of to get a grasp of what was going on inside the machine, as it were.
Mhm.
So like we didn't know how, our spins. We didn't know what was going on with promotion. We didn't know um, how much money was being generated.
Hmm.
They would just not tell us anything, and you know, it's one of those things where one side has all the money, and then one side just doesn't have any money to fight it, to figure out what in the world's going on.
Did you have to pay in to get on that label? Or
No,
okay.
no, they approached us.
Okay. So I know
Actually,
some labels lately have been asking bands to pay them for their services, and I've always found that strange.
No, that's really weird. Like that doesn't make any sense because like that means you don't want to work with them. You just want to make money off of them.
Hmm.
And like to me, being on a label, like the label sees potential in you. They want to put you up on a pedestal so you can generate money for them and keep cycling it around to keep, building the investment, because like
Yeah.
when you're in that kind of situation on the business and that's an investment, you're taking a big risk. So I guess in a way, like that's the safer thing for the labels to do, is just to be like, hey, give us money and we'll do the thing for you. And then if you fall on your face, then fuck you.
yeah. I mean, there is a lot of
Uh,
people that think that won't take that responsibility. They're just like, oh, we don't want to do anything now. You know what I mean? Like young people,
oh
I guess.
yeah.
Yep.
Yeah, they think
Oh,
when
I
they
mean,
get signed, all the work ends. So I was like, no, that's when the work begins.
Yep.
oh no, man, that's when like you're just starting.
Yeah. Before we go on, how long were you guys together before you signed? Like you're playing out, etc.
See, 1, 2, 3 or 4 years,
Oh, okay.
something like that.
Yeah.
Yeah, 3 or 4 years.
Hmm.
Like we had already like done some things. Like we had a showcase for Def Jam Records, and um we were we had a proposed show with Twisted Insane that ended up getting blacklisted. No, not blacklisted, but like you just dropped on us. Like something happened with him. I don't really remember the details behind it.
Hmm.
Um, and then even like had some proposals to have us perform with Nicki Minaj.
What?
Yeah,
Nice. Nice.
I was like, I'm not like a super big fan of her music, but like to me, for me at least, like I don't have to be a fan of your music, but if you want me to perform with you and like rock out or whatever, then I don't care. If I'm not a fan, I will still like hang out with you, jam with you. It don't matter to me. I will play and perform anything. I just want to play music with people.
I
I
just
don't
want to
care.
I just want to stare at her. She's good looking.
She is a good looking woman.
Right on. So okay, so you did all these, yeah. So you basically you cut your teeth and everything before this, this label approached you and said, "Hey, you got what it takes." Blah blah blah.
Hmm.
Mm,
Oh yeah, for sure.
yeah. So once you started noticing the weird behavior and the lack of communication, what'd you guys do?
Well, I mean, we tried, forcing them to
Mm.
find different ways to force them to get us to, or get start to communicate with us properly, and just no dice.
You had a manager, correct? Was he?
No, we did not. I mean,
Oh,
like when I say that things went south really fast, I
mm,
mean like as soon as we signed the dotted line,
hmm.
like there was no time for anything. It was like they were just trying to get something to make money.
Wow.
So we gave them a free EP basically.
And then after that, just it fell south. And did they kick you off, or do you just leave them, or just kind of like fizzled out? You know?
No, it was one of those things that was just so morally. When I say morally, I mean like morale.
Mm,
Um, it was just so it just killed the morale so bad that we just
mm,
eventually just just fell apart.
oh. Yeah, I guess that would probably do it. Like it's like you have your dream for this, and then somebody went and fucked it all
It
up.
happens apparently
Mm,
quite often. Like all these bands, all they ever think about is getting signed, and all these groups ever think about getting signed. And when they finally do, it all goes to shit real quick, and they just fizzle out. So
Yeah, it happens. I like to say that's the only time I've had that happen, but that's actually been a pretty common uh, thing to
hmm.
happen with me. I've had another situation. I didn't get to the dotted line part, but um, where things were like looking really really good, and just disintegrates just instantaneously.
Hmm. Was it another hip hop group, or was it like the different music?
It was actually like a progressive death metal band.
Okay. What do you? What's your primary instrument? Are you vocalist or a instrumentalist?
Um, I I started out on guitar.
Hmm.
When I say started out, like I was playing guitar like behind my parents' backs, because I came from a pretty religious household.
Oh, the Bible Belt. Okay.
Yep,
Yeah.
the Bible Belt.
Yeah.
Um, so like I would go over to friends' houses and pick a guitar a little bit on the weekends or something like that. Didn't get to really like dig deep into it, but I got into concert band in middle school too,
Mm,
and my family on my dad's side is very musical, so I spent a lot of time in recording studios as a kid or watching people perform and travel.
mm,
Um, so did that and then did marching band, um, and was drum captain and all that stuff.
mm.
And I know a little bit of piano. I know enough to get me around it. Obviously, play drums, play bass. Um, I've been I can sing, but here the past 6 months, I've actually been taking lessons and taking it more seriously, so I can put that in my repertoire.
Yeah. So you said you played like technical brutal death metal. So like because you came from a religious family, correct? And then like
Yes.
is that still a thing you think? Like down there, like they just frown upon because I had actually asked that question on another episode, is like is that stuff still scare people, like as far as like metal, is it still give it a bad rep because it's the devil's music, quote unquote? I don't know.
Well, I think with the advent of social media and stuff, I think a lot of that stuff has kind of softened a lot.
Okay.
Um, there's still like, I mean, it's metal. You still see all like the imagery, skulls, bats, and pitchforks, and demons, and
Right, but lately it's
the,
all
the
been the Super Bowl shows that are the evil ones, the evil things now, I guess. I don't know. So you're like, hey, they took all the flack off of us. Ha. So
um,
there's that.
but like like there's all that stuff still, but like thanks to the advent of social media, they found out that a lot of those people are actually just a bunch of soft boys, just trying to use it as trying to make themselves look like something they're not. Like the 80s during the satanic panic and stuff like that.
Yeah,
There was no connection there. Like the internet and stuff like that was in its infancy.
yeah.
Uh, so like nowadays, like all you got to do is just a couple of click clacks on the keyboard, and like, oh yeah, these people, they don't you know believe in witchcraft or
Well,
Satan or stuff like that.
yeah, that's because all the mystique of artists is gone now, that thanks to social media. Like back in the day, rock stars were rock stars. You really didn't know anything about them unless you had like a biography, and you don't even know if that's real. But with Instagram, Facebook, you look up the guy and like, oh, he's at a restaurant eating like, I don't know, like a lemon cream pie or something, being normal. Yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah.
it's not like the only band I can really think of off the top of my head that was like, if you want to call it like proto social media.
Hmm.
Was like Pantera, with like their home videos and stuff like that.
Oh yeah, being getting drunk and crazy.
Yeah, like
Yeah.
that's the only band I can really think of that was like, here's us doing stupid shit behind the scenes.
Right.
We're not the hard evil people that that stand out of the shows and whatnot and protest because Jesus is coming soon and like everybody's going to hell because of this band, blah blah blah.
That was actually one of the greatest parts in the Pantera video, and all the church guys came after him, but whatever.
Oh yeah,
You fuck. Anyway,
but
so
it's not
yeah.
it's just one of those things. Like I just don't. It is a thing still. Like people still do get weirded out here in the Bible Belt, but I don't think it's definitely not like it used to be.
Okay. Well, that's good. That answers one of my long lingering questions I had, if that was still a thing. Anyway, well, back on subject. So like, let's see. So you had another bad experience with almost getting signed, and then you just backed off of it, is correct?
Uh, it was well, I wouldn't say backed off of it. It was more like just things just really. Okay, so like I consider myself a really fun guy. All right.
Mm,
But whenever it comes to getting stuff done and like putting your nose to the grindstone, it's either do it or get out of my way.
right.
I know some people might be turned off by that, but in the music world, if you don't get off your ass and do something, someone else is going to come up behind you and take it from you.
Yep. For
So
sure.
you can either be the guy or the other person is going to be the guy, and you're going to be you know just like what
Hmm,
what's going on? You're not going to get the thing that you want.
So was your band members the same way too, or
No, well,
huh.
I thought they were, and then things just started happening. I was lining up shows, and I didn't get to confirm any of these shows because of them. I had propositions with like uh, Cradle of Filth and Guar
Mm,
and As I Lay Dying, and a couple other big name bands. And I'm like, hey, these people are coming to these areas, and this is in our market, and we can play these shows.
mm,
And they're interested in us being on these bills. And I was like, these are really good opportunities for us because we'd already gained a good ground playing with some other bigger bands. Like that was during the time when like Whitechapel had just gotten signed to Metal Blade and they came back to Tennessee. So we played their first show back in Tennessee since they got signed to their original label.
mm,
So that was a pretty big deal here in the area for that to happen.
mm.
Um, and you know, you would think with most people they would be like, "Oh yeah, sure, let's play with these bands." Like, no, I just rather not.
Is
I just
it,
rather not.
yeah.
I would rather just go drink or go watch this other show. And I'm like, are you what the fuck? Like,
Right.
is this not what you want to do? I've set all this stuff up for you. I've written your music. I've done the promotion for you guys. I've designed your merch. The only thing I've asked you to do is to fucking show up, play, practice, and that's it.
Hmm.
And and it just was not good enough for me. It just wasn't in the cards, and eventually, just things just turned really, really bad.
Yep.
It was a truly awful thing.
I mean, I would have. Did you try to find something else after that? I mean, it seems like you have the drive to do it, and then,
Um,
I mean,
I
what area are you from again? Like you said,
uh,
Maryville, correct?
I'm from Maryville. Maybe people might be more familiar with Knoxville, which is right next door to
Right.
Maryville.
Right. Is the
So
scene
like
like
I'm
so? The
so
scene is
I'm from. Oh, go
sorry.
go go go.
Is the scene pretty good out there? Like as far as like different kind of music, metal, etc.
There's a lot of music out here. I don't. I think the area gets overlooked a lot. Um,
Mm,
but there's a lot of talent um here in this area, from music to the promoters to the recording studios and stuff out here. There's some really serious talent out in this area.
Yeah. I mean, you do got Nashville down there too.
Yeah, well, I mean, it's
So,
obviously it's
yeah,
Nashville, so there's obviously going to be godlike musicians there.
right. I always wondered why that's the Mecca. I just like I don't remember the whole the history of that. Is it because country music came from there? Or I don't remember why it's such a big
Well,
thing there.
originally, the state capital of Tennessee was Knoxville.
Mm.
Um, but just things started happening in Nashville, from the way I understand it. Things just started really just blowing up just out of nowhere for Nashville. So country music had become a big thing in that area. So they were like, oh, well, hey, let's change the capital to right here so we can say, country music came from our great capital of Tennessee. So it's basically just like a big, marketing uh, ploy just to, try to get people to really recognize Tennessee and, it being establishing it as like the country music capital.
I would have been really shitty to change my address after that. I'm like, why did you just do that? just complicate thing. Yeah, I guess I get it. It's like, all right, it's a historical thing. We're gonna change this, and then everybody's just gonna come here now. And yeah, I haven't been there. I got invited like later this month, but we were busy, so because I never been there. So yeah,
It's a cool place.
yeah.
There's a lot of really cool bands there, a lot of really cool musicians and
Mm.
whatnot. You'll find some really great freaking people in Nashville. But I will say that, and there might be people that'll disagree with me on this, and more than likely will. Outside of music, Nashville's kind of a boring place.
Mm. Couldn't
Like if
tell
you
you.
go like the zoo, like the zoo is cool, like the Nashville Zoo. But other than like some places that's got really good food, if you're not going there to watch a band play in Music Row or at one of the venues in the city, there's just nothing really to do in Nashville.
Huh? I didn't know
Like
that.
their economy is really, for the most part, centered around music.
Their economy is based on country music. If the country music fails, the economy fails too.
Yeah.
Literally.
Well, luckily for Nashville, country music is probably going to survive better than big banks. So
Yeah, I'm pretty sure. As much as it's still there, as much as it evolved. But yeah. So I guess back to the subject of you. So like, I would say, what do you? Any other crazy bad experiences still, or
God, I've actually not had any in a couple of years. Things have actually
that's
been
good.
pretty boring in that regard. Um,
Well, here's a
everything that's go ahead.
so here's a big one. So how did the beast affect your musical endeavors when it struck? Huh.
Well, a lot more people started staying at home. And So that allowed people to be, not that it's a bad thing. It's not. I think it's always great for people to get more creative and whatnot, but it's
Mhm.
given more people the time to develop other skills. Um, so in a way, it's kind of killed a little bit of what I've been doing because of the ability, like because of shutdown or lockdown, whatever you want to call it. People being able to pick up new skills. So a musician was like, well, I can't go into the office now, so like I guess in my extra time while I'm uh, doing this paperwork for whatever company I work for, I'm going to sit here and learn about recording really good badass DIs, or
Mm.
learning how to like uh, uh, program drums appropriately so you're not being Octopus Man or um
That's
it's
actually how I felt when I got Easy Drummer during like, or I must have got it before the lockdown. It was like the December before that, but I'm like, yeah, I don't think my drummer can play this, so I'm not gonna add all these extra beats.
Yeah.
I get it.
I mean, it's a good thing. Like, I think people should arm themselves with information, but but like, as the world progresses, and it's been the thing for any any industry, as things change, technology develops, um, people, you know, things, jobs become irrelevant. Not that my job's irrelevant, but like it makes you more competitive, because why should I pay you
Hmm.
to master an album for me when there's this AI algorithm on a website, that can do it for me, that it might be just as good as your master or better.
That'll be a little scary when that starts happening. I mean, or it's already replacing art, but like for it to like produce music and yeah, that's
Um,
a little.
I, I don't, well, the thing is it's already happening.
Mm.
I don't remember the name of the place, but there is a website you can go to where you can master your own tracks through this particular AI algorithm that they have. And I've
Hmm.
put it up against some of my masters, and it's damn good.
That is scary.
It is very
It's
scary. I'm
probably
like, oh my
listening right
God.
now. It's listening right now of us talking shit. Oh man. I
Oh,
don't I don't know. See, like I guess like how's it supposed to listen to something when like our own ears are unique and for a computer to replace that, like it might not even be the mix that like you might be wanting for or maybe somebody else, because like all the older albums, people thought they were good, but then when you hear them now, you're like, oh. But
hmm.
how does something that isn't alive, or maybe it is alive, would can decipher all that? That's I don't know. That's strange to me. I don't know.
It's the
It's
rise of the
mind-boggling to
machines.
me too. Oh yeah, absolutely.
Oh no.
Um, it's mind-boggling for me too. But I
Mm,
mean, like, when you get down to like digital, it's just ones and zeros at the end of the day. So I
mm.
mean, I'm not a programmer. I can read a little bit of certain types of programming languages, but like whatever is there that I don't understand, which is a lot, um, I mean, it's obviously that they've figured out some kind of way to, you know, to you know, simulate that. And it's not obviously going to be the same as us, because like, we have, a brain. It's a three-dimensional thinking space
Hmm.
that has the ability to, have, we're cognizant, we have free will. Um, and for the time being, computers do not. They're just told what to do and how to do things. Um, so that's like the only aspect that for right now it can't replace. But man, it gets so close that
Hmm.
I just, where does that leave us as people, or us as creatives?
I don't think it'll ever replicate a live concert. There's heart in that cannot ever heart and soul that can't be replaced from like actual live show of a band you really like. It's just I think that's where it won't replicate. Excuse me.
No, you're good. No, there's a feel that humans just have, just our natural clocks. We can perceive the pull of time now, with like the advent of a lot of people using backing tracks and clicks and stuff like that. Like, you can still kind of get it, but
Hmm.
like that the feel is kind of, for the most part, not really there anymore, because everything's already on that grid. There's not
Hmm.
really a pull and a tug. It's not like, say, like, I don't remember his name, but like Toto's drummer, like he's a pocket drummer, but like if you listen to his work, like you can feel him kind of like playing in the pocket a little bit with Steve Lukather's, guitar playing.
Yeah.
Um, you can't really do that with if you're doing click tracky stuff, like you can kind of emulate it a little bit, but like you
Hmm.
still can't pull and tug on it like you can without it, because that click is in your brain is conditioned to that click. Um, Not that the clicks are bad. I will never be like
No.
clicks are bad, because like I record shit, and um I grew up in an environment where you had the metronome blaring in your ears while you're marching in time,
Yeah.
and that click will still make you a much better musician than you saying that I don't want the click, I want the feel instead. Well, okay, but good luck trying to get anybody to listen to your stuff if it's just, shittily out of time.
Right. No, I mean, there's a place for it. And then like, like it'd be nice to have like keyboard parts like in my band, but like
Mm.
I don't want to go and like try to figure out how to use the click and then have the drummer have a unit and then like it'd be easier if you just had a keyboard player and then they would play their part when they're supposed to versus worrying about all that. To me, like that's fine, but then there's bands that just
Hmm.
hires, and that's when the other bands just hire a keyboard player, and then you need the click for that because otherwise your keyboard will be in time, but the rest of you won't. You know what I mean? It's like, I guess it depends on what it is. I don't know.
The
Yeah,
click wasn't too bad.
it's yeah, it's definitely like genre specific too,
Yeah,
like
yeah,
with a
like
lot of the stuff that I write, like I generally, as much as I love other styles of music, and love performing other styles of music, I'm predominantly like a rock and metal kind of person whenever it
mm,
comes to like playing instruments. Um, so like, the click is kind of important,
mm,
and I use kind of sarcastically. It's very important. Uh, and I just use, a little small, like a really like a micro keyboard, and I use it to write parts because I don't need a humongous keyboard, and like you
yeah,
don't need a humongous keyboard to play in like
no,
that form of function, because like um a lot of that uh broadband is going to get cut by an EQ anyway, so like it's pretty pointless to even have a humongous keyboard in like a rock or metal band.
yeah. I mean, I have a little workstation if I want to think I'm like Beethoven, but then you got to kind of go back and overdub stuff. But yeah, I get it.
Oh yeah, yeah, yeah.
Yeah. So basically, like the beast didn't really affect you too much. You just seemed to like be kept busy regardless.
Yeah, more or less. I wish I was a little bit busier. Um,
Mm,
but right now, like the past year, um, I've actually been kind of fine with it, because like the beast, my dad died last year of cancer, and
no.
the beast is what he didn't necessarily die from the cancer. He was going to die from it, but like the beast is actually what got him. Uh, so like I've
Mm,
needed like the past year to really just switch off and chill.
yeah. Well,
Um,
sorry to hear
so
that.
I,
Yeah.
uh, I'm not as bad. I'm pretty okay about it. I can actually talk about it now without it being an issue.
Mm,
He was the one who pushed me into playing music and wanted me to um, pursue it. If that's what I wanted to do.
mm.
So I used that to, finish working on my EP that I've been working on, and just start this year fresh, and like just really sink my teeth back into it, and like just kind of you know um reestablish myself to me, where I need to be in the thick of all of this, that is ever engulfing us.
So is this a EP like a solo work, or is it other people helping you with it?
For the most part, it's just me.
Mm,
I did everything, uh even down to the production work. I did have one of my friends, Niels Hirschenroder, over at Doku Studios in Tokyo, master it for me. Um,
that's such a
and
long
he's a
name for a Japanese guy.
oh he's
No, no.
German.
Okay, I thought, yeah,
No, he's a German that is living in Tokyo.
I
I
gotcha.
worked with two of his bands over there. He's a really cool dude. He does really good work.
Mm.
Um,
So how did
and
you, yeah, before I interrupt you, like eventually we'll have to get you why you went to Tokyo? Like, how did that connection start? You know?
Oh, okay. Well, I can expand on that. Well, I
Yeah.
think I already did. I mean, it was just one of those things. Like,
You want?
he wanted me to work on his stuff, so
Yeah.
I did a little bit of it here, and then I went over there and did the rest of it.
Mm. And you met him like in that area?
No, I actually met him living here. He went to college here,
Okay.
and we used to party a lot and stuff like that. And he played in a local band here,
Mm.
so we got to know each other decently well. Didn't know each other as well as we do now, but he was like, "Man, I need some help." And there was this recording studio in in the area that his one of his bands had recorded at, but he wanted the production to be done by someone else. So they didn't like that. So what they did is they chopped up all of the drum parts and rearranged them and renamed them. So in the hopes that and the other engineer that would be doing the mixing and stuff would never ever be able to piece it back together.
That is a
So they
shitty
would,
thing to
yeah,
do.
it is. So they would eventually go back to them and pay them money to do all the production work instead.
That's
So
bullshit.
it is bullshit. And he was like, Michael, he's like, I really need your help. And he told me what was going on. And I'm like, I was like, okay, so like, I was like, I've got this band I'm working with for the next 2 weeks. When does this need to be done? He's like, um, as soon as possible. And I'm like, okay. So I would wake up really early in the morning. So that way I would be up for whenever he was up for his afternoon. And I would stay uh, online with him and piece together the drum parts by hand and till we got something cohesive. We'd work on that for a few hours, and then I'd work with the other band that I was working with here, and then pass out for a couple of hours, wake back up, do the same thing with him, the other band, go to sleep over and over and over again for 2 straight weeks, trying
Uh,
to piece these drum parts together.
did he fire those guys?
Oh, he hasn't had anything to do with them since.
Wow.
But it the project sonically, it didn't turn out like I was hoping it would. It was just such a mess, and I was so sleep deprived.
Yeah.
But it was definitely an experience. It taught me a lot about learning how to read waveforms. I mean, I already knew how to, but like you become a fucking expert at that shit having to do something like that.
Wow.
I can about read a waveform and tell you exactly what it's going to sound like before I press the play button because of that.
Wouldn't it have been easier just to redo the drums? Like just program the drums from scratch or not?
Or hired somebody?
Yeah.
Well, I don't. Well, I can't really speak on their end because I don't know if they
Right.
had the
Yeah.
software, in their band, or if they even had the time. Because, like, I know he worked for a pretty big real estate company over there, and then like his drummer and vocalist, both, I think, if I remember right, worked for Microsoft Japan. Um, so like there was, busy people doing busy people things. So the work had to be offloaded to somebody.
Yeah. I
So,
just
it was fine. I got paid for it. So, I mean, big deal. And plus, I like them. They're good. They're really cool people. So I didn't really mind, you
yeah.
know, being sleep deprived for a couple of weeks to help them out.
No, that's cool. I was just
Okay.
thinking like when we did our own stuff and everything, we didn't have the capabilities of recording the drums, so we would always just try and I think they used Fruity Loops just to make the MIDI versions, and then they used Easy
Hmm.
Drummer or Get Good Drums or whatever the hell they were using, and
Hmm.
did it that way. But basically, we record videos of the drummer and then just try to replicate what he's playing.
That's actually a really good approach to doing that. Um, I guess if I knew the drum parts, I could have, but obviously, I wasn't there recording the
Yeah,
parts. I didn't know the songs, so there's no way in hell that I could have,
yeah,
known them. It was just one of those weird, sticky situations that hopefully nobody else ever gets to, or ever has to endure, because that was a nightmare.
That's just
I-
really shitty that they did that.
yeah.
That's like a really bad problem in Japan, in some places at least, whenever it comes to recording studios, they can be pretty territorial um, over stuff, and especially if you're not Japanese, um, it could
What's it?
even be a bigger problem for you to get stuff done and you not be treated like shit for some reason.
Must be a cultural thing.
Yeah. Let's see.
I don't really know. I'm not going
Mm.
to say it's everywhere because it's obviously not. It's very much not. But that is definitely a thing that happens over there.
Mm.
Yeah. Over here, I've only encountered people we pay for recordings and we never fucking get them back.
Hmm.
I'm still
Dealt
waiting
with
on a
that.
song. I'm waiting on a song that we recorded probably 12 or 13 years ago, and it's been paid for and everything. And the guy kept saying, "Oh, it's snowing. It's slowing down my internet. I'm gonna upload it." We never did fucking get it. So
Mm-mm-mm.
that really fucked his internet up. Apparently, 'cause it's still uploading.
Huh.
Well,
He
I
probably
didn't.
lost it.
That's a huge file.
I'm still waiting for I'm still waiting for a check for some production work I did for some songs for a very popular TV show from 10 plus years ago.
Hmm.
Um, I'm still waiting for that check though.
I would have never released it. I said, "Where's the money?" But some people.
I was stupid back then. I was like, I knew that things could be shady, but I'm like, surely this is a big enough company that like it just didn't make sense to me that they would, something would happen. So like I did the work without thinking about it, and I'm like, I get the cred, I get to
Yeah.
say that I did this thing for this prominent TV network, and then, well, I can say that, but I still didn't get the money for doing it.
Oh boy.
Do they
That's
at least acknowledge it at all, or like credit you anything, or is it just out and
No, they ended up not crediting me for anything.
sure. Sounds like back on the subject, like Get Good Drums is a dumb name, but I know why it's called that. But like, if you didn't know, but like, that's such a lame name for an awesome drunk program.
but
I I
it
think I
makes
would like it
sense.
a lot. I think I
Uh,
would like it more if it was like get good, like GITGUD.
hmm. But like, it just sounds like a little kid. Get Good Drums, but I know why it's called it because now that's Nolly's last name. But it's just
Yeah,
it doesn't strike me as being an awesome. It is an awesome, but when you first hear that kind of
Yeah,
name, you're like, it doesn't sound very powerful. Like Easy Drummer, that sounds kind of goofy too. Maybe I should
yeah, it
shut up.
does, especially since it's EZ. Like
Easy,
it's very cheesy.
but I think it's
I didn't mean
catchy
I didn't mean to do that.
because yeah, because it's easy. Like, oh, just like any kind of manual that says the stupid guide for whatever. Well, now they got easy drums.
we
Hmm.
when we had to use the laptop as a drummer because our drummer at the time we kicked him out because he was shooting up heroin at the playground up the
Hmm.
street instead of coming to
Hmm.
practice.
Oh, that's
Um,
nice.
yeah, like we'd actually witnessed him out there and he was lying, saying he's broken down somewhere else. So if you're out there listening, buddy, yeah, we knew what the fuck you're doing. Um, anyways, he because of him not showing up or whatever, we ended up programming the drums anyways. So we just practiced without him, and we ended up naming the guitar player's laptop Ed, not after this Ed, but we just it was because it's Easy Drummer. So we always referred to Ed as the extra band member, and it was just the laptop. So
Man, I hate that. I don't know what it is. I know for me, I've always, whenever it comes to like a band setting, I've always had the worst problem with drummers. I don't know what it is,
yes,
or if I'm just special, but I always have the worst luck with just having not necessarily shitty performing drummers, but like just they're shitty people.
Are they short?
No, well,
Okay.
one was maybe a little on the shorter side, but he was not intentionally trying to be shitty, I think.
Okay.
We're still friends. It just ended up being a kind of a shitty situation. But everybody else, they're just kind of just acted like, not as maybe either a shitty person or just had shitty work ethic.
Hmm.
Most of the drummers I've ever played with, they've all had their own flaws, and most of them have been shitty people. So, funny story though, because we kicked that guy out and we had to play these shows we had booked. We played with the laptop, and our guitar player, you give him a microphone, and he says some pretty dumb things on the microphone, and he told the crowd that our drummer had died from a strange gardening accident, so that's why we had to play without a drummer. And then after we played or whatever, the sound guy came up. He's like, "Oh, I'm real sorry to hear about your drummer. What happened?" I was like, "What?" He's like, "Yeah, I heard he died in a gardening accident." I was like, "No, he was just joking." I was like, "He's a freaking drug addict, and we kicked him out."
Yeah, he got a heroin tree just fell right on him.
Yeah, he was out there clipping heroin tree, and it just fell right on top of him and crushed him. But no, that when you're talking about that, or the drummers or whatever, it reminded me of that story. That was kind of funny that about the strange death of our drummer.
See, I always thought like there was a formula that a lot of short drummers are the ones with the attitudes. I don't know, like a lot of famous ones are actually short, and I was wondering if that's. I think so, but like there are, I don't know. I'm thinking of like Gene Hoglan. That dude's like super tall, so I don't know if that really applies to anybody. He's really nice, but usually the short drummers have kind of an attitude. I don't know. They're good, but like
the one drummer that was the best drummer we had, and he's the one that passed away from the drug overdose. Not the same guy, but he was on the short side. Now everyone's short to me because I'm almost 6'4", so most people are shorter than me. But this guy was only like 5'5", so he was a smaller guy, but he was a phenomenal drummer.
Yeah, the best drummer I ever had. He was he's an absolutely sick drummer. Like I remember before he played with me, I recorded one of his earlier bands, and I had to stop him mid-recording when we first started because I couldn't hear his snare drum. But it was because he was so fucking articulate that it was right on the click. It was so right on the click that the click was masking the snare. And I had never heard that at that time in my entire time doing, music, anything. And he wanted me to resurrect this old band that he really, really liked. He wanted to continue my dream. And I'm like, I don't know about that. But he eventually talked me into it. And it worked good for a little while. And then one day he was like, dude, this isn't the kind of music I want to be playing. I'm done. We're like immediately after like 2 seconds after we finished our set, he was just like, yeah, this isn't the kind of music I want to play. I'm done. I'm just like, really? You just talked me into pulling all this shit out, and maybe you want to do this to me? That's awesome. Thank you a fucking lot.
Maybe he just didn't like play it out live. I mean, sometimes like it's fun to jam and record, but then there's a lot of musicians that just don't like playing out live. And
no, it wasn't that. He was like he's a talented drummer, but like there is some like flaws in his playing, but it's not his playing, it's his ability to when to add, when not to add. There has to be flair and flavor all the time. He's definitely like he definitely like you can definitely tell he likes like scene metal and like gent stuff a lot. Nothing wrong with that kind of stuff.
A lot of Chinas is what you're saying.
a lot of chuds.
Yeah, well, yeah. But but my thought, like I've said before, is just like if you want to be in music, then just play music. Like I know plenty of natural musicians that are metal musicians, but they play country music or pop music to pay the bills. Whatever avenue that presents itself to you, take the thing. Who cares if that's not your preferred style of music? If you want to make a career in music, you play.
Yeah, we had a band from previous guests, and like his guitarist is like an amazing death metal guy, but he plays a country in a famous country band. I'm like, holy hell. Like you would never
Yeah.
guess that, but yeah, like
Yeah.
yeah,
There's a
they
lot of
definitely
musicians doing that now.
yeah.
They're making their money in country music or pop music or whatever they're doing is
Yeah,
like,
there's nothing wrong with that for sure.
and they still got their own projects that they're doing for the heavier side, but to make money, they play the stuff that sells.
Yeah. It's like even for like a higher profile example, I met several years ago. I met the artist Kesha. Um, I met her keyboardist in Nashville.
Mm.
Um, and they played a lot of different other things, but they did the pop thing to pay the bills. I mean,
Mhm.
it's just what it is. Even like the big dogs do it.
Yep.
There was
That's
a
yeah.
there was a bass player that lived in this town that I'm from, and the dude was very, very Les Claypool Primus style bassist. Like he was a phenomenal fucking bassist, and he ended up moving down to Nashville. And last I heard, he was like a studio musician down there. He was supposedly working for like Sony or something. I'm not sure, but
Mhm.
my biggest thing with that dude is he stole my fucking microphone. we were jamming at some drummer's house, and the drummer and him had been jamming back and forth, and the drummer was like a big Dillinger Escape Plan fan, and this is back in like '02, so they were not like mainstream, like they never were mainstream, but like they were like very still underground back in 21 years ago, and I was
Mhm.
just getting into that type of stuff, and I was really like wanting to jam with them, whatever, and went over there. I left my mic that I'd went and bought. I spent like $100 on this Shure SM58, I think it was,
Mhm.
and left it over there because we were jamming. The guitar player left his stuff there, and I went back the next day. The dude's bass stuff was gone, and my mic stuff was gone. And I was asking him, I was like, "What happened to?" He's like, "Oh, so and so come got all the stuff." It's like, well, he took my shit too. He's like, "Oh, that sucks." It's like, you
Mhm.
fucks. So I never went back over there again. I was just pissed off at the whole situation.
Yeah, I've not had a musician steal musical equipment from me, but I've had a bandmate like just steal shit from my house.
Oh.
That's fucked up.
Yeah, he was selling it for heroin money.
Oh God. Huh.
Yeah,
Was he the
and then he
drummer?
hit the yeah, he was the drummer, and he hit
Bastards.
every other ex band member's house too.
I would have found him and beat the shit out of him.
Well, there almost was an altercation at my place whenever because I was actually home uh when that happened, but I'm like, oh my God, like, do I call the police?
Yeah.
Do I pull out my rifle uh
Stand your ground.
and stand, yeah, I'm just like, but I just like, I don't know what to do in this situation because he's not threatening my life and he's just taking shit. So like, and I don't know if he's like high or not.
Mm.
So I'm just like, what the fuck do I do? I mean, eventually it did catch up with him. He did get in trouble, but with some other like stuff, but like, you just don't know what the hell you're going to do in that kind of situation or what you should do.
Yeah, I guess like if you kind of cared about the guy, you don't want to hurt him, but at the same time, like, what the fuck, dude?
Oh yeah, like I'm not a violent person, and I don't like violence, but I grew up with a dad that was like, you defend yourself
Right.
no matter what.
Yeah. Yeah, that's rough when like trying to get in a band with people and then they steal from you. Like, I mean, I don't think that's ever happened to me or ever faced a situation like that, but I've heard so many stories to make me wonder, like, what is wrong with people, man?
There's a lot of shitty people that are
Yeah,
involved
I
in
mean,
music, it seems like.
you're trying to find a connection with this person to make music, and then they kind of ruin it for you. Like when like they came on and shit on your lawn and walked off.
Yeah. I've had to give money for like gas, and I've had to give up money for like certain things. I've bought motherfuckers food all the time.
Oh no, fuck that.
And we'd play shows and no one had money afterwards, so I'd buy everyone food, and I was always, oh, I'll hit you back, I'll hit you back. Well,
Huh.
I never got hit back. I never expected to get hit back. I mean, I'm just a nice person to where I did at the time I didn't make shit for money, but I always managed to scrounge things up. Or if we sold like a few shirts, I was like, here, I'll just use the money to I guess go get Steak and Shake or something after the show. But looking back now, like that dude, the one that's like, man, I'm gonna hit you back. Give me some gas money, bro, and I'll hit you back. I was like, okay, knowing full well I'll never get it. And then one day he's like, hey man, can I borrow some money? I was like, you owe me like $300 as it is. He's like, you've been keeping
Sure.
tabs. I was like, fuck yeah, I have been. Like, I've given you gas like $20 here and there for like fucking 3 years at this point. Like, you need to own up to it. But he was
Well,
so
yeah, if you
mad.
say you're going to give it back, give it back.
Yeah, he got like mad that I was actually keeping tabs of how much he was supposed to be paying me. But he got so mad that he had befriended someone that I was friends with as well, and he apparently gave him some devil's lettuce, like a bag of devil's lettuce, a $50 bag worth of devil's lettuce, and that guy never paid him for it. So he was always pissed off and bitching about, you ever see it again? Tell him I'll beat the fuck out of him. I was like, why, for money that he owes you? I was like, that's strange how that happens.
No,
The
And
guy,
how
the
the
guy that owes me a shitload,
turntables.
yeah, the guy that owes me a shitload of money is now mad that someone owes him money.
and I kind of get like if you have a band member struggling with in between jobs, and like you want to help them out. But I don't understand when like somebody who straight up doesn't have a job is even in a band. I mean, because we all know metal does not pay the bills. Well, a lot of music doesn't pay
No,
bills in this country. But like, if we have a struggling band member who's like going through a job change, it's not like we're gonna fire him, like he's good for it. But there's just
yeah.
a lot of people that join bands, they don't really have a job, and I don't understand why they do that shit. And it's like it's kind of it goes hand in hand because if you're not a very good worker, then what makes you think you're gonna be a good band member? You know?
I guess it's like they want the fun times, and not really realizing that those fun times actually come with copious amounts of work.
They want the fun and not the responsibility.
They want to be
Absolutely, and
they want
I
they
think we
want
could.
yeah. Sorry.
No, no, go ahead, go ahead.
They want to be they want the cool factor of it, but not the work. So yeah, it's hand in hand with
The
that too.
glory of being in a band without doing the work of being in a band.
Yeah.
Well, I mean, I think, I think that could be said for like a lot of people, not wanting to put in the work, but want the payout, you know.
Mm-hmm.
But I mean, like especially like musicians, like there's just so many of them abundantly that ugh, they want the party, but
Huh. Or they want the
but nothing
bragging, yeah,
else.
the bragging rights. I'm like, dude, you still got a normal job. There's nothing to brag. I mean, you can have a good time and you could say, hey, you could be proud of something, but don't brag or start getting like this mentality that you're something now. It's like you still got a normal
Yeah,
job, man. You still got a normal job when we're not playing. So
It's always cracked me
I
up
mean,
when
job.
people top on these big shows, like they paid to get on these big shows and open up for these big artists. They're like, yeah, we're playing with these
mm,
guys on. They get like a big ego about themselves. Like you bought your way onto that show.
no,
Like
that is one thing I'll never say is that I've never had to pay for any of the big shows I've ever been on.
Mm.
But that is something that, like, if you played with a big band, awesome. I don't care if you paid with them or not, but don't gloat like you were just
Right.
chosen out of like God knows how many artists to perform with this band. Like you paid to get on.
Yeah. I also keep track of the ones we do open, whether or not they're cool or not. I mean, there's been a few that they kind of hide. I don't know. Maybe that's their thing, but like I don't like when band hide. It's like, especially when you're kind of in the same area, like the quote green room around that area. Like there was a particular
Mhm.
band that I didn't see until like it was for them to play, time to play. It's like, and we had to sell tickets, so it's like you come out and say hi at least. But I mean, I guess it didn't matter because I wasn't into that band anyway. But it's like, as
Mhm.
a person who gets that kind of experience, like be nice to at least say hi. I mean, it's not like they owe me anything, but I at
No,
least
but
just
be nice. Like these people are helping you pay for your meal ticket.
yep.
I had a bad
So
experience with a band that I actually booked on a show that did the same thing, except they went into the back room that was off limits. That everyone was told not to go back there, and they were starting to drink the booze out of the back room, which was completely off limits. And so instead, they got kicked out of there and they went upstairs to another area, but they would not watch any of the other bands. So by the time that they played, because they thought they were cooler than the headliners, no one stuck around for them, and they got all mad about it because and questioned why I wasn't even there. I was like, well, my ride left because my ride really did leave, even though I booked the show. I rode with my band, and they didn't want to stick around for people that didn't bother to stick around and watch any of us because they're too busy doing shit they shouldn't have been doing. So it's a give and take. Like,
it really
Yeah.
is.
if you want people to respect you, you need to respect the other people. I'm not saying be out there and watch every single song or whatever, but at least show your face.
Let's show that you're at least remotely interested, or at least pretend like you're interested. I don't really necessarily agree with the whole pretend you're interested, but if you're going to, just at least pretend you're interested.
Yeah. Like, I don't care if you like the music or don't like the music. You don't like me, that's fine, but don't act like rock stars, I guess is my mentality, especially when you're a nobody.
Mhm.
Just like the rest of us. We're all nobodies, and yet you're acting
Oh
like
yeah,
you're king shit of Turd Mountain.
yeah. I mean, I'm a nobody. I'm a nobody. I do all the normal things that everybody else does. I've played with some big artists and whatnot, but I'm still a nobody.
But you got good stories about those somebodies, so that's cool. That
Ab-
like,
yeah. And
Yeah.
but that's all I really care about. For me is I like having those stories. Those are things that I can look back on and remember very fondly.
same, yeah, for sure. So yeah, it's
The
not
only oh no, go ahead.
that's not always dark side on here. We just like the positive stories too.
Yeah.
Yeah.
The only negative thing whenever it comes to playing with other bands that I can say that was like truly bad, other than like other bands being prima donnas or like little bitches or whatever. um my first band that I was ever in, there's a venue here in Knoxville that booked us for this particular show. It was like I hadn't played very many shows yet. It was probably like in the single digits still.
Hmm.
They did not pay attention to who they booked with who, and we got booked with like a bunch of skinheads.
Oh.
And that happened to be a night where I brought a bunch of my not white friends with me because they wanted to see us perform.
That's
Well,
that's bad for the venue to begin with. So like,
oh
we
yeah,
not looking up to it.
absolutely. And this is
Yeah.
like a venue this is not like a small venue. This is like a venue that's had like Morbid Angel and Pantera and Slayer and Metallica in.
Mm.
You're doing this kind of irresponsible crap. So like these guys, after they perform their show, they see that there's some people that look like they're not from around these parts, and they come up and try to start stuff with us and spit on them and stuff.
Oh Lord.
And I'm like, hey, you guys just spit on my friends. You cannot do that. Dude pulls a gun out and puts it in my face.
Jeez.
Yeah. Luckily, there was enough of a commotion already for the venue to have called the cops.
Mm.
So, like, by the time that happened, it wasn't just a couple of seconds later that you start seeing red and blue lights, and they vamoose. They was just like a vapor just disappeared. But that was the worst I've had with dealing with another band, and that was absolutely scary.
Yeah, a little bit. I mean, geez.
The venue should have definitely checked out who the hell they're booking. To be 100% honest, we don't do a whole lot of research. I don't of who we're inviting on this show, so I've been kind of leery about some of the people we bring on because you never know anymore. So I've tried to.
Oh yeah, sure.
I've tried to do a little bit of checking, but
You let me on here. I don't know why.
I guess I don't have to worry about you being a white supremacist
Oh
because
no, I'm pretty Mexican, but
Yeah.
whatever.
so yeah, I don't have to worry about that. But I don't I even wrote that we're in the description, like we're not here to spread hate of any fucking kind. So I don't
No.
care if you're purple. It don't matter to me. Like, and I'm not here to. I don't want to deal with people that are fucking stupid and prejudiced and pieces of shit, to my opinion.
Right.
So I'm
I don't
not
want.
here.
Yeah.
To,
Yeah.
we're not spreading their
I don't.
propaganda bullshit.
No, I don't. I don't kindly put up with a lot of it. I've been, I've been in a. I spent the past several years in a pro black hip hop group, and I've played in like queercore and LGBTQ like metal bands and stuff like that.
Mm.
So like I'm very not about people's shit.
Yeah.
Sure. Everybody's here for a good time, really. No matter what,
Yeah.
who you are, where you come from.
No, yeah, absolutely. I know for me, my rule is as long as you're cool, I don't care what or who you are. Like you are cool and safe around me.
Mm.
I don't judge people by their skin color or their preferences or identity of what they. I judge people by their actions. And
Mm.
if you're a good person, you're a good person. If you're a fucking dick, I don't care what color you are. You're a fucking dick. Like,
Yep.
Yeah.
so
Yeah, no, they can absolutely keep that to themselves.
yeah.
So
I'm getting too old for that shit.
yeah. So like basically you're gonna back to your EP. So like you're not gonna take that out and like try to assemble a band to play this music, or you're just done with like the band things as far as like
Uh,
dealing with bands, if that makes sense.
um, I, 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 I don't know. Like I'm curious about it.
Mm.
Um, uh, I um, I wouldn't mind doing it if even if it was just like a one-off kind of deal.
Mm-hmm.
Um, but like like right now, like my main goal in life is making sure that my girlfriend gets her bachelor's degree finished.
Okay. Yeah.
And I don't care what that takes. If that takes me not getting to do any of my stuff for the next couple of years, as long as she gets her bachelor's degree finished, that's all I really care about right
Oh,
now.
that's good. Yeah.
Because that's important to me uh, for her.
Yeah.
But and I'm a really I don't want to say that I'm anal, but I'm a particular
You're
person,
you're
and
a
if I'm going to
producer, you're
do
supposed to
something,
be
I want.
anal. Mhm.
Well, yeah, you got to be analytical, but there's a
Yeah.
certain point which I've gotten a lot better about since I don't know the past 6 years or so, where like
Mm.
there's a certain point where you just need to let it go
Mm-hmm.
and just let it be what it is. Um, so like I've still got like a standard that I set my thing to. I guess you could call it my own brand.
Mm.
And if it just doesn't cut it, it just doesn't cut it. But I'm also willing to make compromises to make things work if the other aspects are solid.
Mm.
If that makes sense.
Right. No, it's fair.
So like I'm not against it. It would just require me to get people that I can, you know, that I know that can actually just do the thing. And none of it's hard. None of it is hard whatsoever. This is about having fun and getting to feel feel something.
Mm.
Um, so like, but like there still needs to be some kind of, order because like there's a lot of, not heavy orchestration, but there is, some, orchestration and stuff. So it does require, some people with that has like some level of attention to detail.
Mm.
But yeah, I wouldn't be against it. Just right now, I've struggled so hard with trying to get something written just because I've had so much awful stuff going on here recently that like it's been hard
Mm.
to try to write. Um, because like my main focus was my dad.
Yeah.
Um, that was really important to me and still is.
Yeah.
So like with that, it was so hard to be in the right mind space. So like my friend Niels that I told you did the mastering for me. I have to give him a big shout out because not only did he do the mastering for me, he really gave me like a grounding and gave me pep talks through the entire ordeal, and was
Mm.
like, giving me positive energy and like helping me get over that finish line to completion. It's definitely one of the hardest. None of it's hard to do. It was just one of the hardest things I've ever done, just because of the circumstances. So like, I'm just happy that I made it,
Yeah.
because I actually just didn't know. There were several times I just didn't know if I was going to make it or not, and he was like, "No, man, you got this. He's like, I can't carry it for you, but I can carry you.
I've heard that before.
And it's from Lord of the Rings.
Yeah, I know.
Oh, okay. I didn't know. Okay.
Yeah, no, I heard it. I
But
know
but
that one.
he was super awesome and instrumental in helping me get it done.
Well, that's good. Like everybody needs a support buddy to get us, especially through like rough times.
Yeah.
These past few years have been like we've all leaned on each other for something or other, and like a lot of people came out of some shitty situations. It sounds like you're almost to your happy, to a happy medium. Sounds like.
I hope I'm getting there. I'm still trying to find my way there, but I'm
Mm,
I'm close, like super close.
yeah.
Is there anything from your EP that you have finished that you would want to release on the end of this episode? What we've been doing is whoever we interview, we play like their latest release at the end of the podcast episode. So if you had something, we can always add it to there so people can check out your music.
Yeah, sure. I wouldn't be against that. I wasn't planning on putting out for another month or two, but I'm definitely not against that.
Well, by the time this airs, it'll probably be about that same time frame because we're about, I'd say, a good 6 or 7 episodes ahead of you to be released before this one would be released. I'm going to release one, I think, once a week. So
Hmm.
this probably won't come out until towards the end of May.
Okay. What I can do is I can send you guys like a Google Drive link, and you guys can figure out which song you guys would like the most to be on it. Whatever you guys vibe with the most, you guys can pick whichever one you would you
Okay.
know
We can do that.
like
Or
to
if
have. Because
there's one that's, I'm not picky. I mean, whatever you want to people to hear, like that represents you. That's how we've been going. Let the artist pick the song that they want to release the most.
Okay, all right, that's fine too.
So yeah, if you've got something that really stands out, you want, send it to me in that email, and I'll get it added to the end of the episode.
Okay,
Yep.
that's cool with me. I can definitely do that.
Yeah. Whatever your proudest song is,
Yeah,
if it's, yeah, because we don't want to put something you're like, I didn't like that song. I don't know. You know what I mean? Like,
yeah. I don't want to
yeah.
pick something and
Yeah.
be like, well, that wasn't really my choice.
Right. Yeah.
But
Well, like there's like a lot of things. It started out like, man, I don't like any of this shit that I'm writing. Just nothing was just really working for me.
Yeah.
And like eventually, like I would take little breaks and stuff here because I just had to because of just everything else going on.
Yeah.
Um, but I'd come back to it. I'm like, oh yeah, that's how that works. Um, like there's still some stuff that I'm just kind of iffy on, but I don't think it's me or that it's the music itself. I think it's just me remembering and it just being a trained condition in my brain to just to be kind of just like grossed out a little bit because people that I've let like shadow listen to it, they're like, holy God, dude, this is really good.
Mm.
Um,
No,
but
sometimes, yeah, sometimes a break or having somebody listen
yeah,
to it and say like any kind of like constructive criticism. And sometimes, that's the ear fatigue and you like going, oh, this all sounds like shit. And then just come back like a few days, a week later, and then fresh ears. At
yeah,
least that's how I write, I guess.
I mean, sometimes you got to,
Yep.
sometimes sometimes a great song or at least a good song, comes from like a shitty idea. It
Mhm.
just you need time to stew on that idea. Now, like, should you always approach something that way? No, because then you'll never get anything done. But sometimes you can, and it's why I try to record every single thing or idea that I come up with because you never know when that idea uh, will, be like the thing that you need, or that's like ends up being like the thing that makes like that's like the star attraction of your song.
Hmm.
I,
True.
I gotta give a shout out to A.O. Levy for that one. Uh, I learned
Great,
that from
great
him.
podcaster as well.
He is a great podcaster.
Yeah.
I learned that one from him uh, a long, long time ago. Back whenever he wrote a column for Metal Sucks
Hmm.
back in the day. I'm like, yeah, you know what? He's got a really good point. And I was already kind of doing that, but after I heard that or saw that, I was like, yeah, I need to do this more. So I started doing it more. So I've got gigabytes and gigabytes of years and years worth of music ideas, half songs and riffs that are just waiting for the right potential to come around. Um, to make something good, or at least make, at the worst case, make use of it.
Hmm. My buddy's that way too. I'm pretty sure they both have like flash drives full of old riffs and ideas that never gets utilized. It just here's a riff from like 10 years ago.
I have like song. I have a couple songs from a couple years ago, 3 years ago, where I'm like, oh, let's try to tackle this and make it sound decent. And it kind of works. Just leave it alone for a while, but yeah,
Well,
can't force it.
Michael,
Yeah.
I think we're gonna wrap this one up here. But is there anything you'd like to add before we close this out?
Um, I'd like to say, I guess, for everybody out there that's listening, that has something getting in their way, or has a really, gets handed like some kind of shit sandwich or whatnot in their path of passion. Just try not to let it get you down, because like it will absolutely destroy you if you let it. Sometimes you just gotta wade through the shit to get to the gold. It's just the natural order of things. Sometimes just don't give up, do your thing, be passionate about it. Even whenever you're sad and upset or depressed, you'll find something to be happy about in what it is that you're doing, and try to have confidence in it, and lean on others when you don't.
No, that's definitely true.
Yes.
Is there like a Facebook, a website, or anything you have that people can find your music on?
A lot of it from years past is just kind of scattered all over the place, but like, I mean, you could just type in, my name, uh, Michael Knouff, Knouff, and you'll pretty much be able to find almost anything that I've been involved with. Um, if anybody's interested in keeping track of, when my EP is going to be released, it's under the band Soulforge, and it's on an Instagram. It's an Instagram account, so like, there's nothing on it yet, because I'm just waiting for time to get closer so I can start releasing, stuff about it. I don't want to prematurely put stuff out and there not be anything there. I kind of want to give it time for it to stew before I actually just kind of just drop it. So just Instagram, Soulforge official, and you can keep track of it there. And then I've got my own personal Instagram account. If that's of interest to anybody, I sometimes will post music stuff on there, but it's usually just me, showing off my guitars or my cats.
I said, if you want to send me links, you can message me whatever the links are you have, and I can always put those in the show notes. So anyone out there listening can just go into the show notes and click in, find your stuff.
Yeah, sure thing. I can definitely do that.
All right. Well, again, I appreciate you coming out and talking with me and Ed.
Yeah. Yeah. Heck yeah.
Yeah,
We
it's been a blast
definitely,
talking to you guys.
yeah, we definitely enjoyed talking with you too. But anyone else out there listening that wants to be a guest on Dark Side of the Scene can send an email to brandon@darksideofthescene.com and we can get you scheduled on a future episode. But we're going to say thanks to Michael one more time and we're going to roll on out. So good night, everyone.